Okay, viewers, the cost of legislative experimentation, the final episode, the final verdict. The final verdict. Every series reaches a verdict, not because every listener agrees, not because every court has finished speaking, not because every politician has acted, but because the evidence has formed a pattern, and the pattern is now visible. The 1984 framework recognised biological sex. The 2013 amendment introduced identity governance beside it. The collision followed. Female boundaries became shared. Shared boundaries became contested. Contested boundaries became litigable. Boundaries became conditional, and conditional privacy is not privacy. Litigatable. Contested boundaries became litigatable. Litigatable boundaries became conditional, and conditional privacy is not privacy. The final verdict is this: co-mutual governance cannot permanently protect female boundaries. Not because identity lacks legal recognition, not because transgender people possess no rights. They do. But because a female boundary created by biological reality cannot remain stable when biological reality is forced to share governing authority with a competing identity claim. That is not balance, that is structural contradiction. The issue was never merely access. Access was the symptom. The deeper issue was governance. Who governs the female boundary? Biology or identity? For years, public debate circled around compassion, inclusion, discrimination, offence and accommodation. But those words did not resolve the governing contradiction. A boundary cannot faithfully serve the reason it was created while obeying a different governance principle. If female privacy exists because biological sex matters, then biological sex must govern female privacy. If female sport exists because biological sex matters, then biological sex must govern female sport. If female recovery exists because biological sex matters, then biological sex must govern female recovery. Otherwise, the name remains while the function changes. And that is a hidden rewrite. Not removal, reclassification, not deletion, co-governance. And co-governance is not sustainable where one governor contests the purpose of the boundary itself. The result is not peace, it is permanent negotiation, women negotiating privacy, women negotiating safety, women negotiating vulnerability, and women negotiating where the female means female, where female biology created the protection. And that's why restoration to the law is necessary. Not revenge, not cruelty, not denial of dignity. Restoration. The return of governance to the characteristic that created the need for the boundary via creation. And this is the principle that can hold. A boundary must be governed by its purpose. Where biology created the need, biology must govern, biology must be sovereign. And where identity requires protection from unjust mistreatment, identity can be protected without occupying female privacy. And that's the lawful distinction Parliament must restore. Because no civilization can protect women while making the meaning of woman permanently negotiable. And this is my closing statement, viewers. The final verdict is not that compassion was wrong. The verdict is that compassion detached from created order and became legally unstable. The verdict's not that dignity should be denied. The verdict is that dignity cannot require the surrender of female privacy. The verdict is not that transgender protections do not exist. The verdict is that those protections cannot co-govern boundaries created because biological sex ultimately matters above all else. The 2013 fault line was co-mutual governance. The remedy must be biological sovereignty, where female privacy, safety, sport, recovery, and bodily dignity are the purpose. And anything less leaves women inside a category that still carries their name while no longer exclusively obeying their biological reality. My final closing sentence. A female boundary cannot protect women if female biology no longer remains sovereign over it and governs it. I'm Dr. J.W. Ayoub, Theologist. Hope you made it to the end. I'll see you in the next lot of lessons. They're going to be on the psychology, the post-traumatic stress effects of this on women. You keep well. Bye for now.